Hello, hello. So today we are going to talk about anime like the weeb I fucking am. I think the funniest thing for my first year of teaching, was I was I was a high school English teacher. For those who don't know, I was a high school English teacher for 3 years. I did not get a degree in teaching. I got an alternate license. I know there's a lot of controversy and stuff talking about like alternate access license and how these making like people who are unqualified teaching. Well, I mean, I think I did a decent job. I think I did a half decent job. I did get a degree in English, so at least like I knew my subject real well when it came to what I didn't know. It was not the content; it was really how to teach. But I figured it out. But at the end of my first year, I was talking to one of my sophomores, and he was he was very well known for just he boy wore the hentai hoodie sometimes. He was very much very anime, very anime. And so I remember I forget what I was talking about. I was talking to him about something. It was at the end of the year, and he asked me if I watched anime, and I started watching anime when I was in roughly 7th or 8th grade. And I was like, yeah, and I mentioned, he's like, oh, which ones? I started mentioning, and I listed quite a few because when I was in high school, I watched a fuck ton of anime, and I do still watch quite a bit of anime. And he just looked at me, he was like, you're a weeb. And it was like he could not imagine his high school English teacher being like watching anime. But today I do want to go back to that time, that 8th grade time, because I graduated high school in 2015. I graduated college in 2019. And when I was just starting out watching anime in like 2010-ish, you could not go anywhere without being inundated with the big three. And at that time, the big three was Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece. And I recently, very recently, within the past week or so, just watched the first episode of One Piece for the first time. I was a Bleach girl, like through and through. I was Bleach. Bleach was my jam. The bookmobile, which would come out to my very rural school, had volumes 1 through 23 of the manga, and me and my best friend at the time would check those out and we'd read them like crazy, and then we'd watch, the anime in parts on YouTube on our little iPod touches, and it was a good time. Bleach was my thing. So if you're unaware, they're all shonen anime and manga series that were ran. I'm sure, I think Naruto is done now because they've got a sequel thing going on. Don't quote me on that. Naruto was never my thing. Naruto is deeply boring. Bleach, I believe, is starting up again, and because the anime left out the last arc that the manga did. Now they're going to be animating that. And One Piece, I'm pretty sure, is still happening because they're like 800 episodes of that shit. And all these series were very well known for being massive. They're so long with these massive filler arcs. Bleach, I think, was the smallest, the shortest actually, at like maybe like 400 episodes. I actually know nothing about Naruto. I maybe shouldn't be making this if I know nothing about Naruto. I think I've read a couple of volumes of Naruto. None of them were the first volume. I read a couple of random ones because they like popped up in the book wall because I got like a lot of like manga and there was some Naruto and there was like, what the hell? And I just read them and I was like, this is so boring and I hate it so much. But really, when this was happening back in 2010, 2009, there was very much like almost like a war. Like it felt like a war on like fanfiction.net, Tumblr, that sort of thing. Because this was pre AO3. I think AO3 might have been around, but it definitely wasn't. It wasn't the powerhouse of fanfiction that it is today. It was fanfiction.net or nothing, basically. This was before Wattpad was super big. Wattpad, I think, started gaining traction when I was in later high school, but back when I was in middle school, it was fanfiction.net. That was it, or LiveJournal too, I guess, but not so much. At that point, LiveJournal was dying. AO3 and Wattpad were starting to rise up, and in that little divot, that's where fanfiction.net had all of the power. And also there's the sister site, Fiction Press, which is for original work. And so on these sites and stuff like that, it was like very much like a Naruto versus Bleach thing, and One Piece was almost like on its own. It was like on a completely different level. Like the people who liked One Piece were not super aggressive, but there was so much Bleach slander all the time, and I just didn't get it because to me, like, Bleach was the first one that I ever watched. It was my first anime, my first manga. It was Bleach, and I thought it was super cool. I actually, if you are unaware, I'm also an author, and when I was in, I want to say, 8th or ninth grade. It would have been ninth grade, I think. I think it was ninth grade. I wrote the first draft of a little book called Iscariot. And obviously this has been rewritten and rewritten just not hundreds of times, but literally a dozen times. I rewrote this book. But the concept of this book is that there are a bunch of these kids who end up going to hell and stuff like that. And if you're familiar with Bleach, this next thing will be very familiar to you. Hell has 80 divisions. Why does it have 80 divisions? Because of Bleach and the 80 like section. I don't know if they call them sections. They might even call them fucking divisions. The 80 divisions of the Rukongai. That's why this book was really just a young teenager dealing with the thought of mortality, a young atheist teenager dealing with the thought of mortality and trying to figure out what like the best case scenario for an afterlife would be when she was very certain that there was nothing at all. But yeah, this book, like, I've rewritten it so much. I think the writing is fine now and the plotting and characters are fine now, but deep in the world building, you can see that 14-year-old still writing her first book, which is, I think, is kind of fun. I don't know. I like this series. It's kind of my baby. And so really, let's kind of talk about the merits of all these, because I mean, you don't have to choose one. You can watch them all. I mean, maybe nobody has that much time in the day, and maybe it's unfair for me to talk about this when I just think Naruto is a complete waste of time and super boring, because it is. But really, I was when I watched this episode of One Piece a week or so ago. I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was within the last week or two. It's very clearly a product of its time. I mean, the animation isn't as smooth as you see nowadays. As I'm watching, shows now, I'm watching stuff like Given, which is beautiful, and like, I don't know what else have I watched recently, like Skate the Infinity, which is wonderfully animated, or even in like the what I consider to be like the golden age in like the 2016 to 2020 or so, where it was just beautiful. Or even when I was in high school, when stuff like Steins Gate was coming out. Steins Gate? Gorgeous. But early Bleach and early One Piece, and I assume early Naruto, but I've never watched it. They're all rougher. They're all from the early mid 2000s, and it's not quite as smooth. But I thought it had a lot of charm, honestly. I think that when it comes to the big three, as they were, I don't know what you consider the big three now. Maybe like Hunter x Hunter, Attack on Titan. What else? What else is super big? I don't really know. Jujutsu Kaisen, does that have an anime? I don't even know. I know it was really big in manga. And Death Note, of course, is just a classic. Like, it's not any of the big anything, because it's not super long, I think, because Death Note has one story, and that's it. Not like a million arcs spanning off of each other. It's like, this is it, and it's a fantastic piece of work. But really, I think that One Piece or Bleach, I might be looking at Bleach through nostalgia glasses. I'm not gonna lie, but I love the system. I love the millions of characters. I love the fact that the man, when you're reading the manga, it's like sometimes like the little chapter pages, like sometimes you just have like a random like outfits because this man loves drawing fashion. I love all that. I love all that a lot. So I don't really know what this was. I think this was just me talking about anime when I was in high school versus now. Because when I was in high school, especially younger high school, because the first anime that I finished was Ouran High School Club. The first anime that I started was Bleach. I never finished Bleach. I'm terrible at finishing TV shows. I just am. Like, that's why I have to buy everything on DVD. Not everything, but everything that I actually know I want to finish. Like, I started watching Horimiya on Crunchyroll, and I was like, I really want to finish the show, so I had to stop watching it on Crunchyroll and order a DVD of it, because I will take so long that they start taking stuff off. But I never finished Bleach, ever. So I Orange School Club, and then Angel Beats was a big one, that I also ordered on DVD now, just because I wanted to have it. And then I just kind of started exploding. And then I, like pirate anime and stuff like that when I was in high school. Now I do have Crunchyroll Premium because I'm an adult with adult money, and the only thing I have to take care of is a cat. So it's like I've got this money. Like when you live in North Dakota and you have like 2 incomes, no kids, no health problems, you have money to spend on stupid shit like Crunchyroll Premium, But yeah, I don't really know what this was. Also, obviously, I was into sports anime. You can kind of see my little Crocono Basket things. I loved Crocono Basket. Another one I never finished. But yeah, that is that. Big 3. I don't know if there's an equivalent now. I think there probably is. There definitely is. I'm just like kind of out of the loop. So if you know what the big 3 would be considered nowadays, drop it down below. It might still be Naruto. Naruto still might be in there. I don't know. I know Attack on Titan is like done now, isn't it? That's another one I never finished. I watched like most of the first season, I think. Maybe I even finished the first season. I don't know. I don't know what it would be now. Maybe let's look it up. Maybe the internet will tell us. There we go. What are anime's new big 3? The first thing said Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. I'm like, I know. What's the new one? I forgot about Demon Slayer. Yeah. So honorable mentions: Tokyo Revengers, never heard of it. Fire Force, never heard of it. Black Clover, have heard of it, never seen it. New big 3, Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay, so that one does have an anime. Demon Slayer, which makes sense. I forgot about that. My Hero Academia. I guess Hunter is kind of old at this point, isn't it? Elephant of the Room, Attack on Titan. Maybe because it's over? Maybe because it's coming to a close? Maybe it's not quite long enough. I think I had like 4 or 5 seasons, which sounds like a lot, but, okay. I'd accept that. But yeah, that is all of today. I will talk to you later, and goodbye.